Angel Island, it offers great views of the San Francisco skyline, and it attracts many people to come with their families and friends. You can go hiking, biking, and camping. For many visitors, it is their favorite place for outdoor activities. But there is also a place many people don't know that much about, the Angel Island Immigration Station. For many people who were detained here, it is anything but their favorite memory. Don Lee remembers.
I was detained at Angel Island in 1939, and I'm 11 years old at that time.
Don Lee was forced to stay there about 28 days. He was a war refugee.
As 1937 approached, the war with Japan was quite active at that time, so it was getting very dangerous.
A war between China and Japan lasted from 1937 to 1941. China's casualties totaled 20 million dead and 15 million wounded.
My dad was fortunate enough to gather some financial support and whatnot, and somehow got me to Hong Kong, waiting for a steamship to bring me to the U.S. I remember the ferry that took us directly to Angel Island, and they never let us off to San Francisco.
For those who were detained there, it was like a prison.
The whole place is barricaded with barbed wire at all the entrance, so it's surrounded. I'm sure there's outside guard on the towers.
Charlie Chin works for the Chinese Historical Society of America.
The normal process for entrance into Angel Island was that you were directly taken there by boat, and then you had to be processed, and that meant, first of all, a medical examination. Then they had to go through your papers, and then you were put in a barracks. Men and women were separated, and boys up to about 8 or 9 were still considered men, so they had to go to the men even though they were very, very young.
Well, there's about 100 in the room, as I recall. It was full. There's not much at what we call socializing together there. Everybody's got problem. Everybody.
From 1910 until 1940, Angel Island was the end of the dream. Between 5 and 15% of immigrants were refused entry and sent home. Many of the detainees expressed their feelings through poetry they carved on the walls before they were deported.
臨到美洲，遞入木樓，成為囚犯，來此一秋，美人不准。 批撥回頭，消息報告，回國經憂。
Every week they interrogated you. They asked you the same questions over and over and over again, waiting for you to make one mistake. Make one mistake, you're back.
For 11-year-old Don Lee, it was a frightening experience.
There's 4 or 5 people. I'm alone by myself. And no one is helping me in there because the interpreter is strictly, he has to play it straight.
So they would actually ask a lot of questions of the son or daughter.
Officials try to trick immigrants to refuse entry. Grandin has studied the documents.
And so they'd say, how many steps is it to the village well? Who lives in the 4th house in the 3rd row of your village? Who is your 3rd uncle on your mother's side? And things like that. And so it made it really difficult to come over.
They asked how many, in the house itself, how many windows you have. Of course, no window. We don't have window in China.
Susan Englander is a history professor at San Francisco State University.
There was intense discrimination and prejudice against the Chinese here because the Chinese were taking white men's and white women's jobs. They were chased off of claims that were profitable. They were chased away from white settlements.
The 1882 Chinese Exclusion Act only granted citizenship to those with relatives already here. Therefore, some immigrants created false paperwork to fit this requirement. Felicia Lowe's parents got into the United States on false paperwork. That created a lifelong fear that they would be caught and deported.
And I think even though I was born in America, I'm sure my parents always felt that if I knew too much, maybe the whole family would be sent back. There was no reason for them to trust American government thinking about Chinese people.
There were detainees held for as long as 2 years. Some even committed suicide. Felicia Lowe made a film about Angel Island called Carved in Silence.
Absolutely, you could feel the ghosts in the building. You know, I just was given freedom to just walk around, see all the carvings on the walls and stuff. And of course, the walls talk there. You could imagine yourself being in that situation and saying, is this going to be better? You know, is it worth it, you know, to have made the sacrifices?